What's going on, everyone, and welcome back to the greatest podcast in the world, shooting the shit uncensored. You know who this is. It's the truth, the dad bod god, the bald, the beard, and the fucking beautiful Piers Austin. And tonight, man, we got a special one for you guys, man. We got B-Boy returning to the show, man. I'm excited to have B on, but before we get into that, we're going to take a quick pause for that cause to thank our sponsor for tonight's episode, and that is the one and only Sleefs.com. That's SLEEFS, Sleefs.com. If you or someone you know is an athlete, you need to go and check out fucking Sleefs.com. They've got all your athletic gear and wear covered. They've got your armbands, compression pants, compression shorts, headbands, boots, mouth guards, and they've even got those dirty boxes that you know I'm always fucking rocking. So do yourself a favor, head over to Sleefs.com. Use that promo code MWAPOD to get a 10% discount on your final purchase. Also, wherever you're tuning in, make sure you like, share, subscribe, hit the bell to stay notified. But without further ado, let's get into our conversation with the one, the only motherfucking B-Boy. On everyone, and welcome back to the greatest podcast in the world. You know who this is. It's the truth. And once again, I am joined by one of my favorite people in the entire world. And I know that I say it about every guest I have on, but this time I actually fucking mean it. Welcome back to the show, B-Boy in the house.
Hello, how are you?
Good, man. I see you've got the mask on again, bro. We're going to be doing another big speech and unveil here. I'm going to throw it over to you, bro, because after the last time, man, that was a pretty wild entrance you made on the podcast. So
Yeah, really, I don't know. I just feel like it's easier to speak and connect to people when I'm not wearing the mask. So, I'll start with it, but then I'll just take it off because, it's hard to connect to people when you can't see my face. So, yeah.
Yeah, man, 100%, bro. Just you get comfortable, bro. You do what you feel is right, man. You take it off when you want. But man, I'm excited to have you back on, bro. I feel like last time we had you on, it was I feel like it was a real emotional episode. Like, to be honest, the last time I had you on, man. But how did you feel after doing the podcast the first time?
After I did the podcast, it was really good. Because I got a lot of information out there that where's Mantis? Yeah, I'd like to know that too. Yeah, so I got all of the a lot of information out there, and then because I'd been sitting on it for about 2 years.
Yeah.
Maybe 3 years. I'm not sure. Because once you kind of get shut out, or if someone locks the gates, closes the doors, whatever on you, well, people just don't listen, or that it's just not their business anymore. And I'm not the only person that it's happened to, whether it's in wrestling or anything in life. Because realistically, there's always going to be someone that's going to listen. It just depends on if it's actually going to be spread, but in a positive way. Because it's usually the negative information that gets spread. Because you could Elon Musk, for example, as much as people don't like him, he could literally give away everything he owns, all of his money. Um, but then something from his past, from 30 years ago, comes out, and let's just say it's minor, like really minor, and it's not really an offense. It's just he did something that some people didn't like. Um, that will come to light, and then it's like, well, he literally changed billions of people's lives, and that that that's bad enough to shut him out from the world. Um, but yeah, if you shut people out, um, then you kind of, like, human contact is, for the most part, needed in life.
Yeah.
If you don't have human contact, um, you kind of, you know, wither away.
Mm.
Um, social media doesn't count, but like actual contact, um, you've got people who can survive, in the wilderness and stuff by themselves, but you know, they're very rare. Um, but if you cut someone out and they're left by themselves, well, they're stuck in their own heads for the rest of their lives, or until something happens, and usually that thing doesn't happen. That positive light, because once you're by yourself, it's hard for someone to somehow come and reach their hand out and help. So really, it's more of a struggle, just to stay afloat until that thing happens. And that's why, if something bad does happen to you, um, or news comes out about something that you've done in the past, or you know something, you just need to keep going somehow.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter how. You just need to not shut yourself out. If you shut
Mm.
yourself out on top of everyone else shutting you out, that's the worst thing you can do, because then you've given up everything. If you can at least keep fighting, then you're at least still there. At least in your head, you're still there. Um,
Do you still feel like you're kind of shut out by certain people in the industry?
um, for the most part, no.
Mm.
Which is good, but I'm always in my head, and I'm like, yeah, they don't like me, or they don't talk to me, but also, for the most part, I don't reach out to them either. But maybe that's
Mm.
because I'm in my head. And until that barrier is broken by either me or them, it's not going to change. And that's the thing. It's either going to happen or it's not going to happen, and it's going to be because of me or someone else reaching out to one or the other. Um, so yeah, like, some people I have reached out to and things are good, and some people I've reached out to and I don't get a response. I either don't get a response, um, or they answer. There's never anything negative, um,
Mm. There's
because
never anyone said, "Fuck you, John, go away."
no, because realistically, what's the point of like, why would you reply to someone and say something negative, unless it's something
Mm.
legitimate, in saying, sorry, I just don't want to be associated with you, or I don't want to talk to you, or whatever, because that's okay. You're allowed to say that. But,
Yeah.
as well as, ignoring people. But once you start to be, mean to people, or, yeah, just negative, well, that's not really necessary, I think. You can be cordial, I guess, normal about it, like, just speak in a neutral tone. Um, yeah, that's what I think. You don't always have to be positive. You don't have to be negative. You could just be in the middle and get your point across. People are
Well,
always.
I think you just don't need to be a fuckwit to people, right? Like, you can just be cool to
Mm,
people, and like, you don't necessarily have to be woken in with the progressive crowd or any of that sort of nonsense and bullshit. But just be a good fucking human being. Like,
mm,
just it's the simple things that it comes down to. But do you feel like, with everything that happened, like that like when you did get iced out, did you feel like
Mm.
there was other people who did similar things through that speaking out process that weren't iced out?
Um, do you mean that had done stuff but weren't that but people didn't
Correct. Yeah.
speak up on their? Oh yeah, yeah. Um,
Mm.
and is that okay? I don't know, but like if we got every single person that actually has ever done something, um, well, that's going to be quite a lot of people. It's going to be you know, it's, I don't know the percentage because that's just
Mm.
reaching, but it's a good number of people because everyone's made mistakes, whether
But
it
you know
be
what? But it comes down to no, and this isn't just professional wrestling, but this is like any other
it's
industry,
life.
right?
Yeah.
It's life. I saw this documentary, and it was about this English celebrity, and he was actually a professional wrestler at some point in his life. But this documentary, he was like friends. Like this guy's passed away now, but he was like personal friends with Prince Charles. He was personally friends with Margaret Thatcher, right? So he had some very, very big connections. And then all of these accusations of him started coming out of what he was doing, which was like horrible shit. Like he was like the UK sweetheart, so to speak. Like had his own talk show, TV show, all this sort of stuff. Like was one of the biggest celebrities in the UK. He passed away, and then all these accusations started coming out. Then all these things coming out saying, "Well, the royal family they covered up X, Y, and Z." You know what I mean? He was going through X, Y, Z. So it depends on who your friends are as well. So like, there's people who can do fucked up shit, but if you've got people that are in powerful places, hey, that's all they get. You know what I mean?
Mhm. Well, sometimes you have to protect your business. You have to protect, your brand, and that's okay. I understand that. Um, but once it gets to a point where something legitimately serious happens, like where people are in real danger, um, stuff might not be spoken out about, and that's okay.
Mm.
Because as long as people are safe, um, I'd like people to be happy, but being safe is more important than being happy, uh,
Yeah.
honestly. And I just want everyone to learn to know that everyone makes mistakes because like you could be the smartest person in the world, um, but you don't become the smartest person in the world by making mistakes.
No.
It's because they've made the most mistakes. Because like you can make mistakes, but if you don't learn from them, well then it's just a mistake. If if you learn from them, well then you've learned, and that's more than most people would bother doing because you can either give up. Like, look, it's like let's just pretend it's math class. Um, you can't get the math problem. All right, this is the solution. You can either apply it or you can just can't be bothered. Um,
Mm.
if you actually learn how to actually do it more effectively, well, then you're going to advance, and that's what happens. And it's not just math; it's literally with every aspect in life.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, and you just have to be forgiving with yourself and other people, because on top of whatever the mistake is, whether it be big, small, and whatever the environment is, whether it's work, school, home, personal relationship, whatever it is. But then it's also you have to factor in, the nationality, what country you're in, what
Mm.
context things we're in, but then also, yeah, was it a joke? Was it real? But
But that's the thing, man. Jokes have got to be like they've got to have that sense of being funny as well. Like, you know what I mean? Like we can say things to someone which could be offensive to most people. Oh, but I'm just kidding. I'm just joking. You know what I mean? Like if the other person isn't finding it funny, it's just offensive.
yeah, um, well, I was actually talking to people at work today, and he was like, 40 years ago, 30 years ago, you used to. call people, all of these words, derogatory words, and it will just be, it's accepted because that's what the culture is, or
Mm.
was at the time, and now you've got people just calling them those words, because in Australia it's easier because that's the language we use.
Yeah.
Um, you're this, you're that, and then we laugh it off. But then if you come across the wrong person who it actually may affect, well, then that's when you have to be more careful. But then
Mm.
that's when you really have to be careful which line you cross.
But
Um,
you know what? Like for the most part, like I think honestly, everyone says offensive shit, and the thing is, like, what we say is like it's the least offensive shit that we're going to take offense to. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Because I've heard things from people in our industry, bro, who were the most progressive and woke that have said some shit like that is fucking horrible. You know what I
mm,
mean? That have called people with mental illness fucking retarded and all this other stuff. But
yep.
these are some of the top echelons that we want to make Aussie wrestling a safer place. We want to put it on the map. Come on, bro. Like, yeah, like I'm not buying it.
Mhm. Well, the thing is, yeah, with that word, because in my family, I've got someone, with, the intellectual disabilities,
Yeah.
and yeah, like people still use that word, um, which is fine, and it's also, for the industry I work in, it's like a paint thinner or something,
Mm.
but it's also like people don't use that word much anymore apart from that context, like as in just a throw. It's just a word now. It's just a name. It's just another word.
Mm.
um, so it really comes down to whether that word applies or affects someone else.
Mm.
Because yeah, I don't know if like some words will apply. If I say pretend if I say dog,
Mm-hmm.
and that's one of your trigger words, I'm not going to know until I say dog, right?
But that's the thing. There's too many people that are too fucking sensitive. Like they're too
Mm,
fucking sensitive when it comes to this shit. Like,
yeah.
you know what I mean? Like, how are you going to be able to sit there and know with some random fucking stranger
Hmm.
what their pronouns are? And if you walk past them and go, "Hey, what's up, brother?"
Hmm.
Like, don't call me that. Fuck. You know what I mean? Like, you look like a guy. You have a fucking beard. You have a fucking. You know what I mean? You're presenting as a male. So yeah, like I may call you bro, mate, dude, stuff like that. So it's like unless you have a fucking sign on your thing, you can't really.
Yeah.
And that's the thing where I feel like people are getting ostracized for just not really knowing. You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
So
Or just being in a situation where like just you know.
yeah. So I think as long as you're accepting and open, and then
Content cat.
as long as
You
you're
triggered him.
as long as you're open and accepting of someone else, and then
Mm.
that's only one side, and also they're open to having that, not criticism, but like having those mistakes made from someone else because
Mm.
of your appearance, because it's not wrong at all, but you need to be ready. You have to be ready for those comments because, number one, not everyone's accepting, but number two, like, people make mistakes, and you're
Mm.
like, oh, I didn't realize, I'm sorry. And that's when the second person has to be accepting. So it's really a team effort, but most people don't get that, you know.
Yeah, most people don't, man, it's hard to navigate in this crazy world, bro.
Yeah,
Like, you know, it really is.
yeah, everything is one way. It's only your way, because people don't think about the other side. Because you can easily say something, but then for the most part, you don't think of whether you've hurt the other person or how it will affect the other person. You just say it and leave it. Um,
Mm.
that's why when you say something negative, it could be the smallest thing, but that could be the thing that tips them over the edge, ruins their their day, their week, could leave them in their bed for the rest of the month. Um, um, like once again, you're not going to know what's going to trigger them, but that could be the thing. So you need to be as nice to everyone as possible. Hello, Poppy.
Shout out, Pops. What's going on? Thank you for tuning in. Appreciate you. We'll have to make sure we don't swear during this podcast, by the way. Huge shout out to Pops. I heard Poppy, because I heard at your show she won the Let's Go rug, and then gave it to Glenn Eade, which I felt was like, I saw the video and I was cutting onions at the time, and I was telling my wife that. So, but no, that was very sweet of her. Thank you very much. I've actually got a Piers Austin guy T-shirt left laying around that I said I was going to bring and give to her because if she wanted it, because I felt it was very nice.
That's awesome. Yeah, well, with the rug, I was really jealous because it was rug number 250, like the custom rug number 250, and I was like, I was really jealous because that's a good round number.
It is.
But yeah, people just need to be accepting of everyone, no matter who they are, because everyone's got feelings, no matter if they're stone cold, like as in not the person, but like they're like the worst person alive, because they still have feelings, right? They still have a family, they still have friends,
But you can also be like, people can project themselves of being a certain type of person. So, like, for example, like one of my wife's best friends, you meet her, absolute fucking legend, love her to death, but she comes across like a very hard, cold, sort of person that can sort of give and take. And I remember having a conversation with her once, and I can't even remember what exactly I said. And then, like, next thing you know, half an hour later, I'm looking for my wife, and she's in the bathroom with a friend and all the other ladies, because this woman's crying over something I said, and I'm like, yeah, fair enough. I thought that wouldn't have been a major thing for you, but it's like sometimes you just don't know, and you could know a person and they can react to things by a certain way, and you just have no fucking clue how it is or what it is.
Yeah, like it was just like, offense, defense in sports. You can have the best offense. You can give it, but maybe you just can't take it, and that's okay. But sometimes maybe you just have to let people know your boundaries, your limits. Hey, I can do this, but can you please take it a little easy? Because there are, I think it's really cool because now with people with, learning difficulties and mental illness and stuff, they're speaking out and they're like, hey, I've got this and this and this. We need to work around this, whether it be at work, whether it be at wrestling or this or that. Because if you don't, well, once something gets triggered, well, that's not a good sign. At least you've got the warning signs. And that's, yeah, like once again, everyone's a big team. Apart, obviously there are people who aren't a team. You see stuff going around in the world right now, and it's just chaos. But that's when you see some of the big teams coming together, like a lot of the countries coming together. But it still sucks because you still got two countries going at each other, and you got all these people in the middle, and that sucks. It really
for real.
But
I feel like there's so much that you can be able to do, and I feel like people have to be able to say things, speak up, all this sort of stuff as well. But for the most part as well, like I think like as time has evolved, there's been more and more things that sort of just keep coming out, and it's like, oh, then there's this, then there's this, then there's this, to us pretty much like a certain extent, bro. Like when I grew up, like, dude, fuck me, like I got teased, I got insulted, I got all of this, and man, like you just dust yourself off and keep moving, bro. Like you keep moving forward. Where I think now people are a lot softer, and they, I don't know, like if you've got some sort of like learning difficulty or mental illness or something like that, then yeah, like you shouldn't be called names and be teased for it. But that's
Mhm,
just common fucking sense.
mhm. Yep. Well, the thing is, it's not just the verbal stuff or any of that. Uh, You know, decades and decades, or you know, centuries ago, it was a lot worse physically as well.
Yeah.
um, like people were literally beaten at schools. Um, you know, give me your, the whole give me your lunch money thing. People were literally being tipped upside down for money. The stuff you see in the TV shows, the movies. You can't
Mm.
do that now. Otherwise, you know, you probably won't get accepted to many schools because people don't want that.
But
Like,
it's a weird way that society has gone, where it's like we have to be able to. I don't know. Like I just feel like everyone's wrapped in bubble wrap
yeah, which
for
is
the most
good.
part.
It's good, but
But how
but
is it good? How is it good? Like, you know what I mean? Like you're
mm,
wrapped in bubble wrap. You're so protected from the world.
mhm.
You know what I mean? So the slightest thing is going to fucking hurt you and devastate you.
Yeah, exactly. See that yeah that's the other edge of the sword. You have to find the common ground, but it's hard because more and more things keep coming up. Whether it be another mental illness, another gender, um, another physical disability, another this or that. Like because it's because of science.
Mm.
Um, because we keep developing things, and we keep researching and finding out new things. Um, and I'm not saying that's a bad thing. That's a good thing, but it just means it's limiting the amount of I don't know. We're, s- we we are too safe. Um, it's good to feel safe, but you need to be ready to take stuff because if you can't, like you said, what happens if something extremely bad happens? What if we were the ones in the war? What would happen then? Um, you know?
Yeah,
Oh,
man, you're 100% right, bro. Like it's I feel like that's for the most part. And like let's take professional wrestling for example, right? Like let's be honest what professional wrestling is, man. Like it can be full of, toxicity, carnies, fucking, political drama, bullshit, all this sort of fucking stuff. And like the amount of people and like I've said this before on the podcast, and I'm pretty sure that I had this conversation with you. There are so many people inside wrestling that have learning difficulties or mental disabilities and stuff like that, but the fucking industry doesn't know how to fucking accept it. Like we can be progressive and fucking woke about all these other things, but if someone has the slightest bit of mental disability or intelligent disability or whatever it may be, bang, they're just made fun of. Like I don't get it. I don't get how such a progressive industry can be so fucking backwards when it comes to that shit.
mhm. Um, I've got people at my work. They've got autism. I think one of them has Tourette's. Um, and it's like they're the ones that shut up and do the work. Maybe
Mm.
not just because they're not the ones getting. They're not the ones doing making fun of people, but because you know how often do people with autism or ADHD or whatever, they're the ones that put in the extra effort, or they're the ones that are smarter. Um, like they're a little bit different to what the normal person is. But now there isn't a normal person because everyone's got something in their life that's not normal.
Yeah,
Um,
I mean, there's probably people that it definitely has. Like it comes down to the same health thing. It's like if we got a bunch of people, right?
Hmm.
that we know, and we sent them to a doctor, and we got a bunch of tests done. I guarantee you that everyone will come back with some ailment, some fucking thing. Oh, you've got an underactive thyroid, you've got an overactive thyroid, you've got a fucking hemorrhoid that's been stuck up your ass for 6 months. You've got this, you've got that, you've got this, you've got that. No one will come back. You are a picture fucking perfect of fucking health.
Well, that's the thing. No one knows what picture perfect is, because
No.
everyone's supposed to be different. If all 8 billion people are different, well, then
Yeah.
what's the perfect person? You got one.
What's the perfect person?
Yeah, and
Hi,
who's
I'm
the
Piers
judge?
Austin. Nice to
That
meet
one person.
you.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I'm Piers Austin. Nice to meet you. No, I feel like it definitely is, right. And for yourself though, like when we did the first podcast, we spoke a lot about your mental health and struggles,
Mm,
and
yeah.
since then, I feel like you seem to be in a lot of like you seem to be in a much better place.
Mm.
Um, how have you found, like, now getting more and more back in the swing of things in professional wrestling since the first podcast we did to now? How have you found getting back into the swing of things and back into the swing of the professional wrestling world?
Um, it's good. Because I'm able to. I'm trying to help people. With people. I'm trying to help people. Like all right, Wrestling Go, for example. It's not the biggest company. It definitely isn't. It's just an alternative. But I'm doing things that could help companies that could be bigger, um, be bigger. Um,
Mm,
like right now, I'm only wrestling for 3 companies. I'm wrestling for Wrestling Go, um, and then I'm doing Old Star Wrestling, and then I'm doing Kingdom.
mm. Oh,
Um, so
Kingdom.
like, yeah, I'm like, I'm just trying to help out as much as I can, like being like, oh, maybe you should try this or do this, and then just helping some of the wrestlers on the show. Um, and then same with All Star. I try to keep my mouth shut a little bit more with All Star, because like I feel like I've got more say at Kingdom.
Mm,
At All Star, um, it's like it's more of a, like, it's their game, it's their thing. But if I know that they're open to it. If I ever do have a criticism or something that I could help out with, um, just put it out there. But I've been trying to help guide some of the people at their school, um, a little bit. Like it's not a whole lot; it's a little bit. Um, but I'm just trying to help a little bit, anywhere I can go, because a lot of people just, they'll take a booking and then they'll get there 2 hours before the doors open, and then
yeah.
they'll have the match and then they leave, and that's okay. That's what they
Mm,
do in America, Canada, Japan, Mexico, because they make real money. Here, it's a hobby, it's a passion project. Um, so unless you're getting paid real money, but even then, the people who are getting paid real money, they're longer. They're there at the shows longer than some of the ones who aren't,
mm,
um, and that's a little frustrating. Um, but it's I'm just trying to teach people that you need to put in the effort. Otherwise, the people who do put in effort are going to take the spot. Um, um, because yeah, if you're not contributing in some way, whether it's selling tickets or promoting, or if you're not active at the school, um, or whatever, like, someone's going to take your spot, and
mm,
you don't want to lose your spot just because you're not helping with the ring. That's one of the worst ways that you want to lose a spot on a show,
mm,
because you're not helping with the ring, especially to someone not as experienced. Um, that's what I think. Because I know that, like, Vinny, for example, right? He,
yeah.
I watched the podcast a few weeks ago with you, Vinny and Akel, and he had good reasoning as to why he doesn't, help with the ring. He puts butts on seats. That's so he makes more. He brings more money in for the promoter than most of the wrestlers do. Does it suck that he's not helping with the ring? It does.
Mm.
But would you rather wrestle in front of 10 or 20 less people? I don't know. You
Yeah,
know, it's all a team.
100%.
It's all a team effort. If you had, oh, you go, you go.
I was just gonna say, why do you only wrestle for 3 promotions? Why aren't you getting out there more and more? Because I feel like the gimmick, like the b-boy gimmick, and even Fly Guy, like that gimmick as well, like that's kind of like a license to print money. I feel like at certain shows.
Yeah. Um, so there's a few that have been written off. Pretty much, well, not written off, because I'm sure that if I really tried, I could get there. But I don't want to. It sucks, but I can't be bothered. I'd
Mm.
like to. I'd like to give it a shot, but I'd really have to put in the effort, and maybe that's just on me. But I also know the competition that I'd have to. Like, look, for example, like PWA, I'd have to really put in the effort, a lot of effort. Um, would I be like? I'm just gonna say it. Would I be more popular on the shows than some of their people? Maybe. Um, but I know how hard those guys work. Um,
Mm.
so would I be able to put on a better show and bring in people to their 18 plus shows than people who are at their training all the time, who pay the bills? Um, am I that valuable to just come in, maybe do a session here and there, if any, and then, like, am I that valuable just to take someone else's spot like that? Um,
But
you know,
but that's the thing, like in wrestling, and we've spoken about this, so many times before as well. Like that it comes down to like putting in the work. Like let's look at it as a real business, as a legitimate business. You can have someone who tries really fucking hard and puts in all the fucking work in the world, but if they still suck, they still fucking suck. But if you have someone that may not work as hard but comes in and hits that shit out of the fucking park all over the fucking time, that
mm,
person is going to get promoted because that's the person that's bringing in money. That's the person that's taking it to the next level. And I feel like in wrestling, it's just all a fucking circle jerk when it comes to that shit. Like it
mm.
really is, bro.
Well, for me, like the ultimate, the ultimate person right now at PWA who encompasses the hard work, yeah, not just the hard work, but actually caring and wanting to be there and helping out and being good, and he's a rookie, is Tuckman.
Yeah,
Uh,
man, he's fucking everywhere, dude. He's just
and
popping up everywhere.
and is it because, he's good with people? He's got the energy, like he's a personable person? Maybe. That's what I thought at first. But he's athletic, he looks good, he can talk. His character's not like anyone else on the show. Um, and you, if you talk to all the other wrestlers or you listen to the other wrestlers, you know that he's one of the ones that are taking after the people like Kyle Fletcher, Robbie Eagles, Matty Wahlberg, Ricky South. The ones who are staying there hours after training or before training, setting up rings, with little to no people or by themselves. They're the ones, and picking it up really fast. He's one of those guys, and that's
Yeah,
why he's everywhere in New South Wales. Anyway, I won't
for
like
sure.
in 6 months. He'll be at Wrestle Rampage. He'll be at MCW. He'll be wrestling at, like, he just had a shot at Slam. He was on the New Japan show. Like, he's been on shows for
New
2 years.
Japan show. What New Japan show?
The latest New Japan Tamashi show. They had it like a month ago, I think. Um,
Was that the one at the fucking
at the
Crown
Crowbar.
Hotel?
It was at the Crowbar.
Bro, who like New Japan, big international company, is running a fucking show at a pub? Like, like I don't know. I don't know, man. Like, what's next? We're gonna see WWE running Raw at fucking Mortdale RSL?
It'll be interesting. But I think I feel like I don't know the inside stuff, but I know that with the latest few uh, intakes, they've had some people come through, whether it be new wrestlers or wrestlers from all over the country. I feel like this was the epitome of this is the show where you're rewarded, because you look at if you looked at the card, you're like, haven't seen this guy. Like I knew who they were, but if you're a fan, you're like, I haven't seen half of these guys, and there's a reason for that because they're trying to, you know, grow them from the ground up, which is what New Japan does. And then you sprinkle in some of the PWA guys, which was about half the card, and that's what it was. And I heard that the show was actually okay, um,
Yeah.
because there was limitations with the building because the ceilings are only so high. Um, but I feel like it's just trying to branch into like get some people like get interest, because a small show is better than no show. Um, and you had Fajita here, for 3 weeks, and he was in town. So let's take advantage. The last intake just finished. Let's try to get as many people on as possible, and here's your reward. That's what I think, which I think is good. Um, and I hope that they can continue to do this sort of thing more often. Um, but you know, so I think they've done shows in Brisbane, Melbourne, Sydney.
Mhm.
I don't know if they've done them
I
anywhere
think they
else.
did. I think they did. They did Perth, didn't they?
Maybe, but I feel like look, it's not going to be an overnight success. It's going to take time.
Mm.
But with the amount of people that have now come from File Dojo, that are now at PWA and are good, um, it's just going to keep growing. And now that more and more people are getting bigger names and a bigger following on the internet, which is what you have to do, which is possibly why some people fail. You can be the best wrestler.
Mm.
Look, all right, look at Ricky South. Best, like he's one of the best wrestlers in the country. Imagine where he would be if he actually used social media. Right? If he had a social media manager, like someone who did it instead of him, he probably wouldn't be living here. But because he doesn't use social media, um, you know, he's still here. Because
Do you think
some
that's
people,
the reason, though?
well, you don't know, but some
Mm.
people, like me, I hate using social media. I hate it, but I know that you have to use it, especially now. Um, like some of the people who are getting not contracts, getting tryouts at places, because they've built up
Yeah.
um, a niche, a niche audience. Like you've got people who have their own little Instagram skits or their little TikTok things or their YouTube interviews or their vlogs, right? They're internet personalities and
Yeah.
wrestlers. And then you combine the two, or Twitch, or this or that. So it's making multiple avenues, but it all ties into the one thing. So, because you're supposed to be a brand. If you're not promoting that brand, well, you're just going to be stuck in the one place.
Yeah, for
Um,
real.
like I can be one of the most popular, wrestlers in the country. Um, me, I know that I sell some of the most merch in the country. Over the last 10 years, I've made a lot of money. And I wish people had the chance to make even a little bit of what I've been able to, because it sucks being next to people and they've got better merch than I do. Um, and they're trying way harder than I am, and they're only able to sell maybe one thing a show, or or selling one shirt is a good night. And I hate that because I want everyone to succeed, but it's hard. Um, but I could be the most popular wrestler, but if I don't use social media, well,
But that's
yeah,
that's not utilizing the tools that you have available to yourself as well. Like you're kind of an
exactly,
idiot if
exactly.
you're not utilizing everything and you're not going out there and aggressively going after it. Like, how bad do you really want to be successful? How
It's
bad do you really want to get to that stage?
well, it's not just in wrestling; it's part of the deal with
Mm.
church. You don't just sit at church there; they do advertising.
Yeah,
That's
no,
everything does advertising now because everything costs money, right? You have to stay afloat somehow. You have to advertise somehow. So
what one of the stories, and I want to ask you about this because I heard
yeah,
that there's actually been a promoter that has been messaging other promoters telling him to stop using their talent. I heard you were one of the promoters that got that message from said promoter. What can you tell me about it? Like, what did it entail, and what was your thought when you received it?
um, I didn't want to talk about it, to be honest, because it's just going to be messy. Um, not for me, but for the other person, and I don't want the other person to fail because I want him to succeed. Um, but it was a message out of nowhere. Um, but I had booked one of their wrestlers for um, an upcoming show.
Sure.
Um, they wanted to branch out, and one of his friends, or a couple of his friends, were like, "Hey, would you give this person a shot?" And this
Yeah.
was months ago, 6 months ago, 3 months ago, um, and I'm like, "Yeah, I'm open to giving anyone a shot because if they want a shot, just reach out because." There's nothing worse than just being shut down by everyone. If you're actually willing to work hard um, and contribute and actually show your worth, well, then you're worth it. At least getting a shot. Um, and so this guy was um, he was just overseas for a few months. I'm like, well, yeah, let's give him a shot. And yeah, so it was all good.
Mm.
I announced the person, and then half an hour, maybe an hour later, I got a message from this person, and he was like, "Yeah, it was pretty much like a cease and desist. Don't use the talent or whatever, or
What?
don't use anymore." Which is, look, I understand because it's been this sort of way for years. Not just with
Sure.
him, but with some other people, right? Don't work
Yeah.
here, don't work there. Yep, set rosters, blah blah blah. Um, but this person wanted to expand. I guess he wanted to be tested.
Yeah.
Um,
Wanted to
but
get out there. Wanted to get more bookings. Like, that's what wrestlers want. They want to get booked more.
yeah, I mean, it's not like he's betraying, the other person.
Yeah.
He wanted to wrestle more, um,
Mm.
which is okay. Because I don't know if he does well at my show, maybe that will translate. Or like, look,
The
secretly,
confidence will then come over into other shows, which essentially would bring it back to the promotion.
well, yeah. See, that's the thing. Like, you see you go to a gig, you're like, hey, you're there for the main event. You're there for Slipknot, I don't know. And then you see a band, Dog Poo, I don't know, or Content Cat, I don't know. And you really like Content Cat, and you're like, all right,
Love Content Cat. Yeah.
yep, I'm going to follow their social media. I'm going to go to their next show. You're not
Yeah.
stealing from, Slipknot. You're, it's part of the deal. You're kind of, I mean, look, it wasn't a partnership, right? So it's not really the same thing. But like, if someone really likes someone, they like they will follow them to other shows. Um, Poppy,
100%.
Poppy, favorite wrestler Jess or Bay. Um, no matter where he wrestles, they'll go, unless it's
100%.
unless it's 18 plus. No matter where he is, it could be in Canberra, 3 hours away. They'll be there. And
Yeah.
that's the sort of thing you want to do. I do it at some shows,
Mm.
and maybe you shouldn't do it. Um, I'm at the merch table, nothing's happening. I'll be like, hey, I've got a show. Like, obviously, I want to make money, but I'm also trying to make the fan happy. I'll be like,
Yeah.
hey, I've got shows here, or wrestling. I've got Wrestling Go, um, because, oh, I B-boy is my favorite. Okay, well, fine. If you want more B-boy, you can either see me here again in a month, 2 months, or you can also try to come here where you can see me more often. Because some people will go to both, some people won't. But
Mm.
you have to give it a shot. Um,
Do you find
yeah.
other promoters get upset when you try and do that shit?
Um, Not as much anymore.
Yeah.
Um,
So you pissed off a lot of people in the beginning doing it. Now you just do it on the slide.
no, well, it's just not many people are that. I don't want to say closed-minded, um,
Mm.
but it's just not many people are like that anymore. Um, that protective, because it's okay to be protective,
Of
um,
course, yeah.
but not to the point of threatening legal action over. Uh,
But what legal action can they?
Wrestlers that are,
But
well,
what legal action can they fucking do?
well,
Like what? Like in reality?
well, it's it's threatening legal action over um, social media, which is not. Well, that's a
Such a
nothing. So it's a cease and
nothing, bro.
desist. Yeah, you have to. It's Here's a cease and desist. All right, now it's started. You have to stop. If it's a message, it's a warning, right? But it's a nothing. Um, like, if it
Does that
was,
scare you off for going and then booking that talent again?
well, I genuinely don't want the promoter to be upset or to lose money if I book this person or anyone. But I also want the wrestlers to be happy. So it's a bit of
Of
a
course.
conundrum. But I'm always happy to listen. But um, once again, you have to be willing to cooperate. Um, it's a no matter how big the no matter how big the group is or how bad the situation is, you and someone else or other people are a team in some sort of, you know, order of life. Um, yeah.
So we had someone go, there's another company in Sydney that does that too, but if people speak out, they threaten legal action and bully people to keep them quiet. Don't take well to their wrestlers going elsewhere. I wonder what promotion that is. Let us know in the comments. I'm interested to know that, but it's interesting though, dude, like, because there's a lot of promotions out there that I feel like I don't know, like we had this talk about it a while back about if regulating wrestling shows and regulation on wrestling shows would benefit from it, and like the consensus of it was when we're having this conversation was that a lot of the smaller promotions probably won't succeed because it'll be too costly for them to run shows.
Yeah, which I think that's good. But for me, then what happens to all the wrestlers who are deemed good? They're still gone. You could be a
Mm.
7 out of 10. You're still gone. Too bad, right? That's the issue. You need to be an 8 and above. Otherwise, you're not good enough. because there's no room. There's no
Mm.
room on the shows. Um, yeah, but then, but yeah, then you let the sevens in. All right, how about a six? And then five, four, three, two, one. And then everyone's in. Um, yeah, it's a slippery slope. Um, there are too many promotions. Um,
WSD. What's WSD?
oh, Wrestle Strong Dojo.
Oh, they're out in Wrestle Strong Dojo. I did an
Oh,
interview with. I used to work there, and I got messages, so I took the interview down. People can fucking try and get me to take shit down, but it's not going to happen. But
like, look, I've heard good things and I've heard bad things about Wrestle Strong Dojo, but I've heard good things and bad things about everywhere in the world, right? Everything.
100%, bro. Like, but there's good and bad, bro. Like, take All Star for example, right? Like, I think they're a bunch of fucking morons, and I think
Mm,
Mitch is a fucking dumb fuck. But in the
mm,
same sense, there's still people that work for fucking All Star that I'm friends with that I like. I wouldn't go there and say don't work for this fucking person because he's a dumb fuck. No, go take his fucking money. Like, go get a fucking booking.
like, you want everyone to succeed unless they're threatening, unless it's legitimately bad. Like, unless it's threatening someone's life, or if it's like if it's illegal, something along those lines. Like, why would you want people to fail? Because that sucks. Everyone
Mm.
fails, and it's one of the worst feelings in the world. Um, yeah.
But I feel like also there's people out there that sort of set themselves up for failure in this shit. You know what I mean? Like there's people out there that'll be trying to help them, to give them advice, whatever it may be, and they're so stuck in their own fucking mind. Nah, I'm doing it my way, and they continue making the same mistakes. Pardon me, and they're going around and around this fucking circle, and no one like them just not getting better.
Mm,
And for the most part, I feel like some of those promotions, like I feel like there's a lot of promotions in New South Wales, but I feel like some of them just need to slowly fucking go.
well, like, I would chuck wrestling go on there. Like, we've been going around in circles. Like, we were doing good before COVID, and then speaking out happened, and then whether it's because of speaking out or it's because of COVID, um, our fan base, half, like at least half of them left. Some still go to PWA, some go to FWA, uh, but a lot just stopped watching. Maybe because they outgrew it, you know. Because a couple of years, your priorities change. Maybe you've got a family now. Maybe you've got a new job. Maybe you've moved away. Um, but yeah, like, look, I do get excited every couple of months when I'm like, hey, it looks like 3 or 4 of the companies in New South Wales they're gonna slow down or close up
Mm.
shop. But then I'm like, if they do that, then there's going to have to be more effort on my part, because I'm going to have to run more shows, because there's going to be more people wanting to wrestle. Um, but yeah, there's a lot of promotions at there's companies where it's the same 15 people
Mm.
on the shows, and there's 3 or 4 companies, same people, same matches every show. I'm like, well, what's even the point? Um, oh, what was that one about Old Star and Alternative?
I hear all these bad things of All Star. What's an alternative? Watching grass fucking grow, as far as I'm concerned.
You want to
Um,
see Nightmare Cat again? But if you legitimately want to see Nightmare Cat again, he wrestles at AWE.
that's
Um, if
correct. Yeah, he does.
if you legitimately want to see him because you're a content cat,
I think he's being
okay,
a
I
smart
get
ass, to
it.
be honest.
Yeah, yeah, I just got it. Yeah. Um,
I don't know.
but if you legitimately want an alternative, um, yeah, message me. Whether it be Wrestling Go, is AWE, yeah. Um, like EWA, I'm not sure what's happening with them. I know that they were quarterly with their shows, but I know that they're usually hot and cold. They'll
It's a good company to work for. Very good setup, very good production.
yeah,
If the show's going to be more consistent, it'd be fucking great. I've worked every show,
yeah.
and I think it's been a lot of fun.
Mhm.
For yourself though, like with everything that has gone on since that first episode
Yeah.
to where we're at now, where do you like where's your mindset at with wrestling? Like, do you, especially like with your mental health and everything that we went through the first time,
Mm.
how is it that now, like, how are you dealing with things now inside that bubble of professional wrestling?
Um, I want to train more. Um, um, I understand that, Glenn, because because of the personal experience on your end,
Hmm.
and that's okay. Everyone's allowed their opinion. Like once you say, "Nope, your opinion sucks," well then what's the point of having an opinion, right?
But
Um,
that's the thing. Like, I would never argue over someone disagreeing with the opinion of what I think about them. Like, because at the end of the day, like, my opinion's my opinion, and the fact of the matter is, like, everyone is gonna be the fucking prick in someone's story eventually in their fucking lives, and you know what I mean. Like, whatever it may be. I said for me, I just think they're dog shit or
yeah,
cat shit for content cat.
yeah, like and that's okay. Some people think Wrestling Go sucks. Some people think that um, EWA sucks, PWA, MC, like everyone. Someone
Mm,
thinks that they're not good or that they're not as good as everyone else says they are, and that's okay. Go somewhere else. Look for something else. Um,
100% find an
you don't,
alternative that you do like.
yeah, you don't have to bag it out. Just move on.
But do you
So
think
with
that the people bagging out the promotions, they're like, is it less fans and more people in the business that are doing that? Do you feel?
um, I feel like sometimes some of the fans can piggyback off some of the wrestlers
Mm,
if they speak up. But then it's also vice versa because it's easy to piggyback and bandwagon and kick people when they're down than it is to actually start the kicking. Because if you're the
mm,
first person kicking, well, then you're going to be seen as the first person, and you're going to be that first person's victim. Um, you're going to be seen as the head honcho, and you don't want that. Um, so yeah, like once again, you just need to try to be as nice. Like you don't have to be mean. You can just say, "Hey, I don't like this. This is why." If it's because of something negative, that's okay. But then you don't have to be like, "Oh, I hope they, fail. I hope they, lose all their money. I hope all this negative stuff."
yeah,
You could just say it as it is and just leave it. But
100%. But that's the thing. You can turn around and say, "Look, I think they're pieces of shit." But in the same sense, like there's promotions out there that I don't personally like, and there's probably a lot of heat between these said promotions between them and myself. But I would not turn around and go, "I want them to go out of business. I want them to fucking no one want to work for them." No, like for fuck, it's wrestling. Like fuck, good product is out there.
but also, like, if anything, you'd want them to get better or to work on themselves, for example, right? Because then
Mm.
it all gets better. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's a waste of time. Um,
Yeah, like
it's literally a waste of time.
But as you said earlier in the podcast, though, like it comes down to, bro, like more people want to talk about the negative than they do the positive. It's like, if you look at like a customer service thing, right? Like there's more people that want to, like, if they have a negative experience, they're going to spread that more than they have a positive experience.
Yep. All right. So you've got Karens, right? But what are the positive ones called? You don't have them.
Because there's no such thing, bro. Like,
Uh,
oh man, this person's running around fucking bitching and shit. Like,
how many people do you have going out of the way to you know give you a good review on the internet or on whatever, or
rare.
or or in person, right? Or like,
Yeah.
um, no, it's usually the negative ones. Oh, yep, I want a refund because of this or that. It's not like, you did very good, thank you. Um, yeah, it's just like, yep, cool. And yeah, um, but back to the wrestling. I'd like to get training more. I've had to look after my body a bit more because it's been a bit not. It has been. It's not banged up. Um,
Mm.
my body is not the best um, because of like stuff years and years ago when people just bump. They were just doing stuff for no reason, really.
You mean like taking liberties with you in the ring, or?
I guess I would say liberties, but it's I guess because I'm smaller. It's easier just to, yep, cool. Let's just continuously, slam the little guy, right?
Mm.
Um, because it's easy. But then if I'm to legitimately fight back, they can still just pick me up and slam me. So what can I do, right? Um, and being a rookie, there's not much you can do.
Except take it.
Except take it, and it's taken a toll on my body. 'Cause yeah, I don't walk that well because of it. But like you have to learn with these things. So like I tell people, hey, if you're not comfortable taking something, or you don't want to take it, fight. Like either tell them no, but if they still try to do it in the match, hold on for your life, fight it because it's not worth it. But yeah,
Mm.
I want to get back into training because I've just been trying to heal my body and everything. Um,
Where do you want to
but
go training at? Like, is there a place particularly that you got your eye on and go to train?
no, I want to go anywhere. Like I've been helping like really sporadically with Old Star, but their training's on the weekends. Um, and I've usually got a show on the weekend, or I've got something on. Um, and because in Sydney there aren't that many like training facilities. You've got PWA. Um,
No
there's
interest in going there for you?
there's far too many people there. Um,
But you were at PWA, you were at Newey Pro before. So do you
yeah.
think if you went back there and started training there, that you've got a leg up there where you could potentially be pushed onto shows quicker than some other people?
Oh, honestly, I think so, but I would need to. I, it's not that I would have to like. It wouldn't be the hard work. It would be the work would actually be more in earning their trust and respect.
Mm.
Um,
Is
or
that something that you would be up for doing and going and training there, or is that something that you have no interest in though?
um, I've thought about it. But yeah, for me, just need to work my mind up to it.
Mm.
There's rock and roll wrestling in Wollongong, but that's like it's not. It's about an hour away from me, which isn't the worst.
Mm.
But their training it's at like 5 o'clock
Yeah, it makes it a
in
bit
the
hard
afternoon,
when
and I'm like,
you.
people are still at work at 5 o'clock, let alone
Yeah.
people from outside of Wollongong. Wrestle Strong Dojo. I I honestly like that's not far from me at all. And I'd be open to it. Um, but I don't know. I just want people who I can actively just roll around with and just no pressure, no pressure.
Yeah.
Um, instead of this is what we're doing, because
Yeah.
I like to just wrestle around and just see what happens. Because I miss training, um, but I just know that I'd have to work myself up each time into going because of the anxiety and stuff, and that's a big thing. But
I feel
yeah,
like the best place for you would be somewhere like like rock and roll. Because I feel like they're very inclusive. Like from everything I've spoken to those guys about, and just seeing how they present themselves, or that crew present themselves,
Hmm.
like I think it'd probably be the best place for you personally.
Yeah. Mm. Yeah. For me, the only issue is, well, it's just the
The
schedule.
travel, yeah,
Yep. And and that's the thing. Sometimes there's never going to be uh, a perfect environment or a perfect solution. Um, thank you. Uh, wrestling go. Retire.
wrestling goes start. No, wrestling go starting a training school. Have you ever run your own training school?
Sort of. Wait. You asked me about a training facility, and then you said retire.
No,
Is
I didn't ask you. Like that was just one of the
Oh, no,
comments
no,
that was. Yeah.
no. Yeah, one of the comments was like, "Oh, how about training?" And then after it said retire. I'm like, okay.
Yeah, I'm not
Um,
too sure. You know what's funny? I thought you were the Aussie Observer for the longest time, eh?
oh no, no,
I thought it was you. I thought that was your
nah.
burner.
No, I couldn't be bothered doing any of that. Like once again, like with the social media, I can't be bothered. I, c-
Yeah.
I can't be bothered. Um, so in 2015, just before I started, no, 2016,
Yeah.
I just finished up at PWA. A few months later, I'm like, well, I know of a few people that want to train. They don't want to train at PWA. They don't want to train at AWF. And really, that was about it. I think there was Vulcan, and I think AWE. Um, but apart from that, like, 4 schools is a lot. But when two of them have lower reputations, like good people have come out of both schools, Vulcans and AWEs. But when a reputation is low, it's harder to get people to go there, which is unfortunate because
Yeah.
your reputation could be low, but you could have the best trainers there. You don't know
100%.
because I haven't been there. But once again, I wouldn't know because I haven't been there. It's all rep, reputation, and it's all perception.
Mm.
Like PWA, or they have all these great coaches and stuff. Best wrestling, but you get there. And I'm not saying it's true. I'm just saying, but then uh, what happens if the training sucks? Well, the perception's that it's amazing, so it must be
Mm.
amazing. So people go there. But, that's why once again the online promotion and stuff is a good thing. Um, but yeah, so basically there was a market uh, for people who were leaving AWF, or AWF didn't have a school at the time
Yeah.
because they were in limbo. So basically, my dad had a friend. He he didn't really use this space. It was just like it's pretty much a guy who had all of his tools and he had timber in there. It's not ideal, but
Mm.
I've trained in worse places, and I've trained in worse places in America. And I'm like, yeah, but then over here we're really entitled, because they're like, ooh, like you can go to some venues and it's got really bad really bad vibes, or it looks bad, or it's whatever. I'm like, well, we're really lucky in Australia. You haven't seen bad venues.
Mm.
Um, you haven't seen bad locker rooms. You haven't had to change outside in the snow. Like people are really lucky here. Um, but yeah, so there was a market. But basically, TNT and we had a deal. His ring, um, his ring in there, but I didn't have to pay to use the ring. So pretty much it was like 50-50. He would have these days, I would have these days. Um, and sometimes I'd have 10, 15 people at training. It only lasted 3 months because we had to get out
Mm.
of there because we were getting so many people that we were taking up car spaces that were for the dance studio, like um, 2 doors down or whatever. Um, like, and it was like people who wanted to go to PWA but they didn't know, and because I had just come
Mm.
from PWA, so you had people like, look, off the top of my head, you had Jake Gibson, you had Jared Idle, you had Jax Jordan, you had Rob Oxley, Kai Drake, Triagalucci, um, you had Mantis, you had Erica Reed. Um, man, who else did we have? We had Keegan, Jasmine, um, Kasai a couple of times. We had Albie. Um, there was a whole bunch of people, but yeah. And look, because I had the place for free, I didn't charge people much money, if at all. For like almost every session, I didn't get paid. Um, but that's because I really enjoyed it. Um, I could have made a lot of money, but I would rather people be there when they couldn't afford it um, than just not come at all. And sometimes you have to do that, just like at wrestling shows. Oh, sorry, I can't come this show because I can't afford it. Um, it's all right. Well, you're a loyal customer. Just because you can't, like you have to be nice to the people who are nice enough to come to your shows,
Of course.
or business or whatever it is. Like, give them a freebie sometime. Like, it's nice to be nice. Um,
100%. Sometimes just chucking someone a bone can go a long way, you know?
yep. And look, it's one ticket, it's two tickets, it's three tickets. It's like you're literally losing nothing by giving them a ticket. Like,
Mm.
if anything, you're gaining something because maybe they'll spend $5 at the raffle. I don't know.
100%. You know, it's an interesting way to do it, and sometimes it's just being nice and giving back to the community that sort of help give a reason to be putting on shows on to begin with, man. But dude, we're just been going past an hour and 60 minutes,
Yep.
so I just want
Yep.
to be conscious of your time here, man. But
Mhm.
look, I appreciate you coming on here, John. I feel like this has been a much more positive podcast than the last one. I feel
Yeah.
like last one was pretty somber,
Mhm.
and we're able to sort of talk about a range of multiple other things this time, and for me to really hack your brain. I'd like
Mhm.
to get you back on again sometime. I think maybe when we do another panel show in the
Mhm.
next few weeks or a couple of months, maybe, who knows,
Yep.
maybe we can get you back on for that, because I
Mhm.
feel like there's plenty more we can discuss. But man, what have you got coming up? I understand Wrestling Go has a show this Sunday.
Mhm.
What's the go?
Okay. So I've got a show. Uh, it's this Sunday afternoon, Sunday, October 29th at midday. It's really early. Doors are at midday. Starts at 12:30. So unfortunately, you know, most wrestling shows are Fridays or Saturdays.
Yeah.
Fridays are hard because, well, most people have work. So the people who can help out, uh, um, well, you have to either take work off or, you know, pretty much the crew that you have on Fridays are halved at
Mm,
best. Um,
100%.
so it's harder. On Saturdays, everyone's got a show on Saturdays. There are three, four, five, six shows now in the one state in New South Wales, and there's no point competing.
Saturday.
Yep.
Yeah.
So Sundays, afternoon shows. Ideally, I would have the shows a little bit later than midday, but at the Riverston Schofields Memorial Club, it's basically the Riverston RSL, for short. Um, yeah, they've got their bingo at 5 p.m. So we have to be out of there by 4. So yeah, that's the go. Yeah, like tickets are like $15 for kids, 25 for adults. Like they're cheap, and like I always tell people, like, if you can't afford it, let me know, because like I'd rather have people there than not have people at all. It's just family friendly, and like, there's no swearing and none of that stuff. It's just fun. It's different. Can't complain with bingo.
Can't compete with bingo.
Can't,
Jim Bro Jesse in the house.
oh no.
Definitely can't compete with bingo.
Yeah. So yeah, it's a lot more relaxed. I know that some people don't like people's expectations now are really high. It's like, oh, you know, they don't have the lights, they don't have the trusses, they don't have the entrance screens, this, that, and the other, which is fine, but that costs money.
Mm.
Maybe I shouldn't be doing it because I don't have the money, but then I'm also trying to accommodate for the people who also don't have the money, being the average person, you know. Um,
It's wild though, man. Because like, how then are you expected to make money and pay the people that are working for you if you're giving away? You know what I mean? Like, if you're giving the milk away from free,
mhm,
it makes it very hard to have a profitable business. But
mhm, yep. So once again, just need to keep it going. Try to keep momentum going. Try to keep people happy, both the wrestlers and especially the customers. They're more
mm,
important than the wrestlers. Because yeah, like it's hard to keep everyone happy. Um, but if you can make most people happy, that's what matters. Because if you make people happy, well, then they're going to tell other people. If you do something bad, they're going to tell even more people. So,
yeah, 100%, hundred
so,
percent.
so the more, yeah, like there's only so much good you can do until something happens from the good. But you do something bad, well, it's gonna sting for a while. So you need to be careful, and patch that up ASAP. Um,
100%, man.
so yeah, like I'm like, if anyone is on here and they're skeptical, or they're low on funds or whatever, like, shoot Wrestling Go a message on whatever social media, or send B-Boy a message or whatever. Like, if you want to pay for a ticket, you can pay for a ticket. If you want to, give it a shot, you know, just come, and if you like it, well, maybe you'll come to the next one, and then that's where the money comes in. They say, you have to spend money to make money. Sometimes you have to kind of give away money to make money.
So you
Um,
come back, yeah, man, 100%. It's
yeah,
those little
you have,
things
you
that
you have
can
to
guarantee you a customer for life.
you have to give them the
Yeah,
taste. Yeah.
100%. Just give them a taste, and then
Yep.
next time they'll be juicing for it. But
Mhm.
B-Boy, thank you so much for coming on the podcast, man. It's been a great time talking to you. Where can everyone find you on social media? Where can they find Wrestling Go on social media? Give that a quick plug before we take it home, baby.
Yep. All right. So it's Wrestling Go on Facebook and Instagram, or I think it's Go Wrestling Go on Instagram. I don't use Twitter. I think that all the Twitter stuff is still up there, but I don't use it because it's all negative stuff. Unless there's some sporting event, or some big event happening, or big crisis is happening. You need the news. And then B-Boy, it's B-Boy Wrestler on Instagram and Facebook. Oh, I think Wrestling Go has TikTok that I don't use often because it's social media. I hate it. But then it's also like, it's another social media. But I'm trying to
100%.
upload all of the Wrestling Go, what is it? The hardcore 24/7 watermelon title changes on there. I just haven't done anything recently, because the watermelon title, that's, people like that because it's a hardcore
It's fun
title, but
gimmick.
it's, yeah, exactly, it's different. So, and people like different. So
100% they do, man. Well, look, man, thank you again for coming on the podcast, man. Guys, make sure you go and check out Wrestling Go. Go and check out B-Boy on all social media. Hit that follow button and subscribe wherever it may be. But also, Thank you for checking out the greatest podcast in the world, Shooting the Shit Uncensored. I am the host, The Truth, Piers Austin, and it's been a pleasure sitting here with B-Boy once again. Until next time, guys, take care. All the best. Mwah! Peace out.